Hey guys, Martial Arts Militia here. My name is Matthew, and today's video is going to be a range report on the Smith & Wesson Model 36. Now before we talk about the Smith & Wesson Model 36, I want to talk about the Savior Equipment's Specialist Mini Range Bag. This is the first time I brought them out. I talked about getting this after the Savior Equipment's double rifle bag because I thought that it would double carrying handgun stuff, and it could, but it's just way too much space in there, more than necessary. So I needed something a little bit smaller just to bring 2 handgun pistols. And going on the website, you know, the pictures, they have very good marketers. It looked like you could carry a lot of stuff, you know, by perception, but in reality, I'm going to say it's a lot smaller than that, and you really have to streamline and minimalize as much as possible. So, starting with the mini range bag, I got the olive green because it looks cool as hell, doesn't it? So you've got kind of 3 compartments. You know, we got a back pocket here, you got a front pocket, you got the middle part, meat and potatoes, we'll say. So for the front pocket, this is where the website showed a lot of stuff. It really looked like it had a lot of space. Honestly, it really doesn't. You know, you kind of just get that. So that's what you're working with. So I put the range glasses here. I would put kind of like my recording equipment that you guys are watching me through right now. And then of course I have the hearing protection. So that's pretty much it, all that I can fit in the front pocket. So whatever they did on the website is very impressive. And again, that's very minimalist. I'm trying to bring as little as possible. And I pretty much used up the whole pocket by only bringing 3 things, essentially. You know, I could put a marker and pencil in there, stuff like that. Now, for the main compartment here, it's going to open in flat. It's going to open in a flat space. So you take them down, and then it pops open like this. You know, there you go. Now you get 2 of these. I have it here. 2 of these little pocket space compartments, I guess. You can put stuff in it, you know, if you want to. So you get 2 of those, and then you also get mag pouch holders. Right here, you get 2 of those. And how they stick on is like this material. It sticks right here, based on how you want to place it, and then it stays there. You'd have to rip it out if you want to take it out. So, and both sides get that, up here and up here. They were set up like that, but I only took 1 of these, and I took out the rest because that's what I thought I needed for the range. I also got back pockets here. So there's a back pocket here. This guy's blocking it, and then there's a pocket in here as well. And it has a lot of space if you want to carry, you know, more stuff in the back there. Now my main concern with the Mini Specialist Range Bag was that I wanted to carry probably the biggest pistol I have, and in that case that's actually the Smith & Wesson Model 29-2. That's the biggest pistol I have, and so my concern is it going to be able to carry a gun this big? You know, the good old end frame. And the back pocket does. The back pocket does clearly have room for an end frame gun. So this back pocket right here, you know, I can slip them in here. No problem. You know, it's just, he's good to go. The only negative is that, you know, you're going to be laying on it if you place him on his back like that. So I wouldn't put him in there without some kind of sturdy bag, like the Shields bag. Those ones are pretty strong, pretty tough bags. So it does fit that. And then the next question is if the Model 29 can fit in the main pockets, the main compartment pockets, particularly the back pockets was my question. If you took everything out and you put the gun in the end frame in a Shields bag, you could essentially fit it in here, but then like that's the only thing you're getting in there, that's it, you know. As far as the back pockets, it actually can fit in here, but it's pretty tight, we'll say. So I have to kind of, you know, stick them in here first, kind of with the nose, and then I have to push them. I really got to push them, you know, to get them to fit. And there you go. So you could put a Model 29 in there, but it's a very tight fit. And I would not put an end frame here and then the other one right here. I would put one in the back pocket, and then this one like in here. I would not put them like right next to each other like that. I think that's asking for a lot of trouble. So basically that kind of answered what I was hoping for, and going by the dimensions, I knew that it would fit, albeit very tightly, but that was kind of the main concern for me, was that I could have my big boomers. Now, taking my Model 36 to the range, you know, I just brought the Model 36, I bought the Charter undercover, I brought like 218 rounds of ammunition, I got the hearing protection here, well, the earplugs in here, and then I had the Model 36 in this case, so this old case, and honestly, that was too tight. There really wasn't enough space. That was really pushing it, and so that's why I'm saying that the mini range bag's really nice. I do like it, but when they say mini, they mean it. You know, you'd have to be thinking about like streamlining it as much as possible. I think one thing that could help is that for the ammunition, I would put them in Ziploc bags, you know, because the only reason you bring a box is like you're shooting different ammunition. You keep in the box, you can separate them, you know. But I think this takes up too much volume in there, in the space in there, so you'd have to put it in a Ziploc bag. You have no choice because there's no room, you know. And I just brought 2 J frames. The Charter undercover is pretty much a J frame as far as I'm concerned. 2 J frames, you know, 218 rounds of ammunition in the box, and that was too much. I was struggle busting this thing. Although if I had put the ammo in Ziploc bags, I think it probably would have been a lot better. So that's just my initial impression of the Saber Equipment's Specialist Mini Range Bag. You know, if you want to get it, I would say you really have to streamline, minimalize it, because it's a pretty tiny bag. Now, with that out of the way. This range report was actually supposed to be for the Charter Arms undercover. This is a vintage one, an old one. They don't make them anymore. Now Charter Arms modern guns, they have a shroud, ejector rod shroud here. They didn't a long time ago when they made this, you know. So of course, why isn't this range report on this? Well, I'll get to that in a minute. First of all, let's talk about the Model 36. So this gun, I got it on Gun Broker. It was actually from a lawyer. The guy was a retired lawyer. He didn't need this gun anymore and didn't use it very often. I can tell it's really good condition. Had the original box and everything, so you know, I bid on it and I got it, and there you go. You know, this would be my second Model 36. I had one before where the outside was nice, but the inside was rusted as hell, and it was unsalvageable. Something on the inside, some pin that the parts were lying on was broken, and so it was basically just a useless gun to me. So I'm guessing the guy just cleaned the outside and made it really nice, and then the inside was all really bad. And then it, you know, in a matter of a couple of dry fires with snap caps, it broke easy. So that was a nice $500 lesson. We'll say, nice $500 lesson. I think this was $700 or $800, and not nearly as bad as that one. So I'm very happy this one turned out much better. This is made in 1961, in case you're wondering, so very old. It's got the old thumb piece. You see that right there? Very old thumb piece, which Smith doesn't use anymore. They now use this kind of nice thumb piece right here. You see how you can kind of push into that really nicely. You can push into the other one too, but it's not comfortable. And as I learned in this range report, after a lot of rounds and the gun gets dirty, it's a little painful to try to use that kind of thumb piece. Now as for the range itself, as I may have said, I brought 50 rounds of the Arms Corps 38 Special 158 FMJ, and that was the range. Remember, we were questioning like, wow, are they really selling $38 for 50 cents? Well, 50 rounds, $38, 50 rounds, 76 cents a round. They really were. I thought it was a mistake. Nope, they're really selling Arms Corps 38 Special 158 Full Metal Jacket, 76. Ugh, what am I thinking about? 76 cents per round. Holy cow. The only lesson there is that I would not buy their range ammo again, so obviously I would just buy my own. Then I brought 168 rounds of the MagTech 38 158 grain Full Metal Jacket, and then 2 of the HKS speed loaders. That's these guys here. So they're HKS 36. They're for the Smith & Wesson Model 36. And then of course I brought the Model 36. So I shot it at 7 yards, 21 feet, our typical, combat distance. Same things I worked on, from troubleshooting Gabby Franco's drills, relaxing the knees, shoulders, arms, focusing your shots on the front sight, so after the shot and the recoil, you immediately focus on the front sight and a blurry target, very uncomfortable. Squeeze the trigger without hesitation, so what I always do. This time I did skip out on the double and triple shots, focusing on the front sight, just because the trigger pull on the Smith & Wesson is about 8 to 10 pounds. And I'm not gonna lie, it's not a smooth 8 to 10 pounds, but that's kind of normal for the J-frame, that they sacrifice that nice trigger pull for, that compact size. So I kind of expected that, but no double or triple taps there. Now I shot 173 rounds total. I didn't get through all the last box of MagTech ammunition, and that's because of time. I only did shoot for half an hour. And then the range officer, Don, wanted me to try his cellular and below 38 special 148 grain bullets, semi-wad cutters. He gave me 5 of them. He wanted me to try them, so I had to dedicate a little bit of time there. So as I said, as far as the range goes, as intended, the Charter Undercover did go first, and I shot 4 rounds. I shot 4 rounds in total. There were some malfunctions, to say the least. These were arms core ammunition, so that 38 special 158 grain FMJ. For the first string, I shot the first one, it was a dud. Second shot fired, third shot was a dud, fourth shot was a dud, fifth shot fired. And you can see that in the range footage here. So with that, I just took the remaining 3 bullets and put them in another string, and the 6th shot fired, the 7th shot was a dud, and the 8th shot was a dud. You'll see that range footage here. So with 2 rounds left, I did one more time. I put them into the gun, and the results with the 9th shot was the dud, and the 10th shot fired. And here's the range footage for that. So after this, the Charter Arms Undercover was locked up. The cylinder wouldn't come out. And the reason why was because the bullet, the last one, it jumped so far ahead past the cylinder that it locked up the gun. You couldn't take it out. Now I do have, let me see. Okay, yeah, I have an image of here. I should have kept the bullet, I didn't, but you'll see the image here that bullet jumped so far ahead of the cylinder that if you tried to take the cylinder out, you couldn't. It was so far forward it blocked it. It wouldn't allow it to do so. So after the last round fired from the dud, it actually locked up the Charter Arms Undercover. And the reason it did that is because the bullet jumped so far forward, and the way that the Charter turns in the cylinder is actually clockwise. So if you look at here, if you look at the locking notches, you know how they sort of have a groove with an arrow pointing in a direction? This is turning clockwise, you see? Because I was telling you that the gun turns this way when it fires. And that's usually associated with Colts, so my Colt Visual Police does that too. You can see on the locking notches, they've also kind of grooved in, machined in arrows that point this way to tell you the cylinder turns clockwise like this, right? And we associate, clockwise cylinder rotation with Colts, but it does happen with, well, Charter in this case, and then I think the Dan Wesson Model 15 also does that. So just be aware that we will generally say Colts, but other companies can do that as well. It's not a patent that Colt owns. It's just that's what they did, you know, from the very beginning, and it's kind of been their thing, their shtick. It's different from the Smith & Wesson, and I think Ruger does it as well. They go counterclockwise. So you see where locking notches are, the arrows are machined this way. So it's showing you it's going counterclockwise, okay? So because the gun's turning clockwise, and the first round was a dud, and the second shot fired, right? So the first shot's a dud, and then the second shot fires, so it's over here. Well now, if the bullet jumped too far, which it did, then you can't take the cylinder out. It's locked up, essentially, you know? And I do have an image here I can show you guys. You'll see, just imagine that bullet was way forward, way past the cylinder, and it was not going to allow the cylinder to come out. You know, it was blocking it off that way. And so I thought, oh man, that's fun times. Notice as well that this can't happen with the Smith or the Ruger, because if the cylinder is turning counterclockwise, right? So the first shot was a dud, the second shot fired, will it be on this side? And you can just, you know, get rid of it no problem. So this seems to be something that only happens to clockwise turning guns, like the Colt and the Charter Undercover and the Wesson 15-2. Not saying it's a weakness of the design, it's probably just dumb luck that happened, but I did find that interesting that's an impossibility if the same thing was to happen to the Smith & Wesson or the Ruger. So basically, I think that round just wasn't crimped well, and it kept jumping forward to the point of locking up the gun, because, you know, remember that a lot of those bullets, they didn't go off in first strike, second strike. This one would have been third strike, right? Really stubborn, and the bullet just kept jumping more and more forward to the point where it locked up the gun, and I couldn't do anything. I should have kept the bullet to show you guys, but honestly, like I had Range Officer Don kind of dispose of it when he disposed around when he got it out, because like I don't really. It's a dangerous bullet, you know. I wouldn't fire it, so I was like, no, just get rid of it. But maybe I should have kept it for you guys. I apologize, but yeah. So obviously, the Charter Arms Undercover is, you know, out of service. That's fun. My initial reaction was that it was bad ammo, but then the more I thought about it, I was like, wait a second. The Model 10-7 went through like 50 rounds, and there was one dud. That was it. Or there might have been one or two duds. That was the worst malfunction. In this range report, the Model 36 would go through 46 rounds with one dud, and that was it. And they all fired on the second time around, second strike, you know. So even though I thought it was bad ammo, I thought, well, I put the data together with the Model 10 and the Model 36. Maybe it has more to do with the Charter Arms Undercover. Maybe the hammer strength, you know, it is a problem, because a lot of the same bullets wouldn't go off second or third strike. And when I got this gun, it was not good to go, so to speak, we'll say. When I first got the gun, I dry fired like 600 times, and then the gun broke. I think the trigger return spring broke, so I sent it back to them, and they fixed it, sent it back. I asked them if you could dry fire with snap caps. They didn't answer the question. So then I kept dry firing again, 600 dry fires, the gun broke again. I think it was trigger return spring. So I sent it back to them again. They sent it back to me. They didn't answer my question, so I actually called them to get them on the phone to get a real answer, and they said, yes, you can dry fire the gun. It was just this time, they noticed that the way that the hammer was falling was not hitting correctly, and so it was causing it to break sooner. And I was like, okay, let's test you again. I went through 600, 700 dry fires, and there was no problem. So I thought, okay, maybe now it's actually fixed. But maybe, you know, in their repairs, they weakened the hammer strength pull or something. I don't know. The only way to test this is I'm going to shoot it again, but I'm not going to give it Armscore 38 Special 158 grain. Yeah, 158 grain FMJ. It is known that Armscore has hard primers, so that might be the issue. Granted, it's no problem for a quality gun like Smith & Wesson, but you know, for alternatives, then it may be a problem for them. So I'll probably give it like MagTech and just see if it survives that, and then, well, there you go. I just can't just trust this gun with ammunition that has hard primers, you know, because it's very similar to a J-frame, and I do like it. And you know, obviously, if it did well, I would recommend it, but that's kind of a different story. Now, let's see. I see why my master always said to bring 2 guns of the same caliber in case one goes down at the range. It also applies to martial arts for your fighting guns. If one gun goes down, you're not defenseless while your first one's getting repaired. So, nice to know 2 situations where my master was right. The first one was the AP5M having severe malfunction that required full disassembly, and I didn't have the tools at the range to do it. So, thank you, master. Now, moving on to the Smith & Wesson Model 36. So this guy got pretty much the star of the range here in this range report. I shot about 169 rounds total. I fired 18 rounds of the MagTech loose ammunition. I fired 36 rounds of Armcore, no problem. Fired 100 more rounds of MagTech, and then 10 more Armscore ammunition. I forgot I put them in the speed loaders. And then I fired the 5 wad cutters from Range Officer Don. So for the target, I picked this tombstone target, and Range Officer Don suggested it, and the reason why was because his wad cutters, if you just shoot paper, it's just going to tear up the paper, it's not going to do anything. So he suggested the tombstone. It's much sturdier, much stronger target. Of course the con is I only get 1 target, so if I wanted to focus on stuff, I wouldn't be able to do so. Although I do have shoot and see targets, so I think next time I'm just going to use this still, but then have the shoot and see targets and place them up so I can still do my accuracy training. So pretty much all the rounds I tried to shoot here at the center. I'll show you close up here, but you know, I think probably near the end when I was doing single action, that's probably where all those good shots are. And then the rest, the flyers, were probably just me getting used to the gun, stuff like that. The semi-wide cutters, I put them at the top here. Here's a close-up of that. I had nothing to aim at, so I just try to aim at the general area. I'd say the 4 is okay, and then the 1 is, of course, a flyer. So that is the targeting result. I really didn't think I did a good job with it, but when I was watching the range footage, I was like, man, I look like I'm doing pretty good, you know, like the gun's not moving too much. It just didn't feel that way. The gun was very jumpy. You know, I have little girl hands, so the gun really jumped in my hand, and I didn't think it didn't look to me like didn't feel like I was doing well, but range footage looked all right, so I guess I can't complain. Now, I did switch to single action on this gun, and the reason why was because I could feel building pressure in my shooting finger, and it finally ripped the surface skin at about 104 shots. And those are all double action, by the way. So it's probably healed now, but yeah, it was kind of like tearing up that skin there. And again, that took like 104 shots. And if you're training the J-frame, I really don't think somebody would shoot that much. That's a little much, that's a little crazy. Another thing I noticed was the gun got really hot. I had to really be careful where I was touching. I didn't get burned by the forcing cone up here, but certainly the top strap was really hot. I had to like really watch where I was touching there. And that was near the last quarter of the range report, so maybe like 100, probably about 75, 100 rounds were starting to get pretty hot there. Also the thumb release, which I talked about earlier. So this kind of style, this one is really hard to hit. I think just naturally it's hard to hit, but when the gun gets dirty, it's even worse hard to hit. So I think you'll probably see 2 or 3 times the range footage where I'm kind of struggling a little bit. Granted, I'm probably tired too, but you know, just this scallop design it's not a good design. You know, it's kind of easy to not catch it, and then when the gun gets dirty, and then there's just more problem. You know, I really like the Smith's new thumb piece like this. All their guns have this now. Oh, surprise! Snap caps. All their guns have these this thumb release here. Oh, it's much better. You know, it's much smoother. It might be a problem when the gun gets dirty, but again, I shot that gun before. It's never been a problem. Anytime I shoot a Smith, I think that thumb piece is much better for a cylinder release. It does make me think about kind of like Ruger's, which is a push-in, which is really good as well. And then Colt's, of course, being a pullback. I think the Colt's pullback is a good one too, just because like pulling back is a positive motion, you know what I mean? Like it's just a positive thing to do. And Smith is right doing a forward push. It just had to be this design, not not this design. That one is that's really not a good design for a forward push piece. By the way, Charter kind of has the same thing, kind of, sorta, yeah. So If you get a Smith, if you get an old one, I would try to get one with that gun piece. I think that one's going to be a lot nicer for you. Okay, now speed loaders. I forgot I had them because the Charter Arms went down super quick. But this is HKS 36, so it's made for the Model 36. I'll show that to you. Pretty easy to tell. So basically, the rounds will fall in really well with the cylinder. They'll match up. So you slide them in and it sits in like that. Beautiful, you know. So just you have to hold the cylinder. Oh, it's gonna roll. Hold the cylinder and you drop the rounds, and there you go. You're combat ready, you know. So it's made for it. I'm not surprised. Now, I did say that the Charter Arms undercover is very similar to the Smith & Wesson Model 36, if not the exact same size, and I do think they're very close to being the same size. I think they use the same holsters pretty easily, but they're not going to use the same speed loaders, and I'll show you here, because when you line them up, that's it. It doesn't fall flat because this grip, it's too high, it's pushing up on it. I mean, if you were really loose and light with it and then dropped it, you could get lucky, but it's not reliable. So I'm surprised that Charter didn't think of like, okay, let's, you know, cut this in so it's flatter, and then it would fall in line with the Model 36. Because this gun is like a competition to the Model 36, the Detective Special, you know what I mean? So it just seemed like a pretty duh kind of a thing to do. And I'm surprised, I think today Charter doesn't do it either. They'll sell you these wood grips, but they still don't think to like shave this down so that the Model 36 speed loader can fit in perfectly. Of course, they do the opposite side if they're gonna do the southpaw, right? They just have to move the medallions down because they're too high, but that's it. And sure, it'd be more tooling cost to do, but you know, that's what competition's all about, you know, try to use stuff from other people, right? So yes, it can be fixed by scalloping the left grip or the right grip on the southpaw guns. And I think their rubber grips already do that. I had a couple Charters in the past, but I sold them. I could have sworn their rubber grips are scalloped like that to make room for a speed loader. So maybe they fixed it with their rubber grips, but they have not done it yet with their wooden grips. Okay, so with the Model 36, other guns like the Model 36, Charter Arms undercover, Diamondback DB9, that's a favorite. That's a skin-ripping favorite one, isn't it? Yeah, the Diamondback DB9. These type of guns I would consider very much like expert guns, like I don't know, like assassin guns. You know, like somebody that needs a really small gun for a really specialized kind of mission. The level of proficiency it takes to master these is very high learning curve and very low learning proficiency. It's going to take you a long time to do it. So I imagine if you're like the CIA, NSA, something like that, then training with this kind of makes sense. But if you're just a regular dude, if you're just an Asian guy on YouTube, you probably don't really need to master these kind of guns. Honestly, I think you'll do just fine with the Model 10. You know, the Model 10, the K-frame. I mean, you're looking at 6 shots instead of 5. It's a bigger gun, so you know, I went through 218 rounds of this. I could have kept going. I could have kept going. I could probably do 250, 300, you know, and so your proficiency is getting faster, higher. You get one more round, you know, it makes more sense to me. Now, it is a lot bigger than the J-frame. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a lot bigger than the J-frame. But again, you know, you're talking faster learning proficiency, one more round for the regular dude. I just feel like this gun probably makes the most sense. And at 218 rounds, I think I was starting to possibly feel the skin ripping off, but I don't think so. Okay, so again, unless you're a secret agent, I think the K-frame's just fine. I don't see any problem with this at all, but based on the results today, I could probably master the J-frame if I really wanted to. I mean, I don't like how jumpy it is, you know, the trigger is not a good one. The Model 10 trigger is a lot better, okay? But I think if you were going to look into some kind of secret service, no, not the secret service, I think you probably won't do well there. Their agents don't seem particularly impressive to me. But some kind of CIA, NSA, I think probably you'd have to learn. Definitely have to master the Diamondback DB9 and some kind of J-frame like the Model 36 with Charter Arms undercover. So that's really all I have to say about the Model 36 range report. You know, it's a quality manufacturer, I had no doubt that it wouldn't, it wouldn't do well. Next time, hopefully, we can get the Charter arms to run better. I won't use the arms core ammunition. I'm gonna hope that it runs well with a MagTech 158 FMJ because I have a lot of that. And honestly, it's MagTech. I've never really heard too many people say bad things about MagTech. So hopefully we'll get that range report in. But you guys know the drill. I'm gonna roll the range footage for you here. If you have any questions, leave in the comments below. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time, okay? Bye now.
You learned martial arts! Martial arts, good!